a WS hate group sect of a Norse pagan cult ritualistically unalive 2 young girls in Delphi, Indiana. At least that's what the defense wants you to think. There has been some real irresponsible reporting of this case on this platform. Nothing but sensationalism for clickbait. And here's the real story. This was some magic ceremony to gain more power for a white nationalist organization. But the only people doing any hocus pocus is the defense. This is a trigger warning. There may be some disturbing language and some situations that might make you uncomfortable. This is everything we know so far in the case of Libby and Abby. On February 14, 2017, Abigail Williams and Liberty German were discovered on the north bank of Deer Creek on the Manon High Bridge Trail in Delphi, Carroll County, Indiana. They had gone missing while hiking the day before. From the very beginning, the man featured in this image, who was caught on a snap by the 2 young girls moments before investigators think they were unalive, and you can hear through a muffled voice, "Guys, over here." One of the girls may or may not have said he has a pew-pew. That was difficult for the prosecution's audio team to decipher. On October 28, 2022, this man, Richard Allen, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of homicide 5 years after the crime occurred. The information leading to the arrest of this man was given by Keegan Klein, 28, from Peru, Indiana, who Harris had known during his time while living in Peru, Indiana, prior to moving to Delphi. Now, the reason that Keegan Klein became a person of interest to the prosecutors, well, he's doing 40 years in another prison for various infractions against children, unrelated to the case at hand. Klein, going under the catfish aliases of Anthony Schatz and Emily Ann, had been preying on young women all across the country. Prosecutors estimate up to 100 girls. A cell phone that was found at the scene contained communication, including exchanged images, and had possibly been one of the last people to talk to the young ladies before they met their demise. This composite sketch led authorities to Allen, along with testimony from Klein. Yeah, that's right, snitches have been around since the Sumerians made tablets, which led them to obtain a search warrant for his property. Let's not forget that Klein was also identified by 2 individual witnesses earlier that day around the trail area, and after investigators believed the time that the crime occurred, looking at, I quote, muddy and disheveled, like he had just gotten into a fight. This is very important detail right here. After his arrest, Liberty Germain's grandmother, Becky Patz, had identified him as a CVS technician that had earlier on developed pictures for free that she had processed at the local CVS that included her and her grandchild. Now, with the testimony from Klein, who admitted that he was in possession of images of a minor because women his age wouldn't answer to his dating profile, told the authorities that Richard Allen was the perpetrator, along with another man named Ron Logan, where the crime scene was discovered 1,400 feet from the home of Logan. They attempted to kidnap these kids into an exploitation ring. Where does the Odinism, Norse pagan, WS hate group narrative come from that the defense is trying to use? It started when one of the FBI's investigators doing the forensics immediately stated that the bodies were staged. The marking of an F, which the defense is claiming is a Norse rune, and sticks arranged in V-shaped pattern, the defense is saying a pagan ritualistic ceremony. The FBI investigator went down this rabbit hole. After conferring with an unnamed professor, it was ruled out entirely. This was one of those things where you chase every avenue and every lead until it goes nowhere. And that's what the investigators did. This 137-page memorandum that I read from start to finish, which by the way is extremely gruesome and I recommend that you don't, is asking the judge to turn over the evidence that was found during the search warrant because investigators didn't chase every lead. The items that were found were an unspent casing that was cycled through Allen's registered weapon and hair found on one of the girls. That was the exact DNA match of Allen's cat that had deceased and investigators exhumed from the ground. It is important to note in this case that the defense lost the motion to have it moved from Carroll County because of the extreme media surrounding it. And when that didn't happen, they are now asking for cameras to be in the courtroom to make it a publicized media event. And Carroll County, with an estimated 22,000 people in their population, has a population of 40% that identify as different sects of Christianity. Zero, I repeat, zero zero that identify as Muslim, Jewish, or pagan according to the 2020 census of the area. In other words, this is just a modern witch hunt. To throw off the fact that some sick fucks tried to kidnap 2 young children, and when that went wrong, they aren't alive. But almost every national newspaper's headline is causing mass hysteria, saying that this was a pagan ritualistic sacrifice by a WS hate group cult. Let's get the word out there that being a pagan does not involve any of the acts of this ancient Christian propaganda that's still being perpetrated in the country today. This is why I feel like my documentary is so important. If you're a pagan, please be safe. May whatever spiritual path you walk down guide you. And most importantly, stay fucking savage.